real-time oversight from the moment your trips are booked on our system to when your trip is completed on the very last stop. A pleasure or a luxury that these businesses lacked for the very longest time. Then we are then building layers upon layers of value-added services that solves other critical problems that these businesses have that are tied to this third-party logistics. So at the core of it is making logistics smarter, faster, and more efficient for these businesses across Africa.
All right, this is another episode of the Form Your Own Pack podcast. My guest today is Williams from truQ, and truQ is spelled TRUQ, in case you're curious. It's kind of a unique spelling. So Williams, thanks for joining me.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much for having me, Michael.
No problem. So for people that don't know, who is Williams?
Williams is a young Nigerian, African, as it were, super passionate and a strong believer in technology's boundless potential to change the quality of our lives in no small amount. So everything that I do since I left university is about working with one tech product or the other to just makes life easier. And that's like at the core of who I am. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. And then the company that you've started is called truQ. What does truQ do?
Yeah, truQ is at the very core a platform, a company that is very much out to make logistics smarter, faster, and more efficient for businesses across Africa. The reality for businesses across Africa with logistics as a critical part of what they do is in threefold. It's either they have to own the assets that power their logistics or trust fully on third-party logistic partners. Why the third side is for those who run a hybrid of both. But for any business that would have anything doing at all with third-party logistics, three problems becomes constant. They will struggle to find as many third-party logistic assets to power their needs. They will struggle to establish pricing on so many random third-party partners. And there will be little to no real-time oversight on the activities of these vehicles while they are servicing their business. These are problems that myself and my co-founder dealt with for years on our previous jobs. So it just made sense that the company we'll be building would be out to solve all of those problems and more, providing real-time access to as many vehicles for businesses with logistic needs, providing structured and predictable pricing, and some very comprehensive real-time oversight from the moment your trips are booked on our system to when your trip is completed on the very last stop. A pleasure or a luxury that these businesses lacked for the very longest time. Then we are then building layers upon layers of value-added services that solves other critical problems that these businesses have that are tied to this third-party logistics. So at the core of it is making logistics smarter, faster, and more efficient for these businesses across Africa.
Amazing. So now you were part of the TechStars program, but you weren't in your own city. What was the story behind that?
So TechStars is a major platform for any early stage startup anywhere in the world. TechStars Lagos was just launched about 2-3 weeks ago. The CEO of TechStars was in Lagos. So prior to that, we just had the opportunity of applying to any other TechStars anywhere in the world. So we gave TechStars Toronto a shot. Amazing time, dug deep into what it was that we're building with a very impactful MD of TechStars Toronto, Sunil Sharma, and his team, and the mentors network that TechStars gives you access to. And within 3 months, the results on our business were crazy. We grew so fast, got super focused on what really matters, pivoted from being a B2B and B2C business to being a fully B2B business, and really optimized for that part of that kind of focus. Then towards the end, we had to go down to Toronto for originally for Collision. But most of the founders that were in the program that came around for Collision decided to just wait it out, do demo day with the team on ground, and just super beautiful. I think the ripple effects, the results of going to Texas, Toronto will still be evident for the next 5-10 years as we journey on our business.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I forgot, that's right. So Collision is an annual SaaS entrepreneurship event, right? In Toronto.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
become quite large. Like a lot of people go from all over the world to that. So it's amazing that you got to do both of those events. Do your demo day as well as Collision. So that's great.
Yeah.
So how are things going in the business? What stage are you at, and what's next for you guys?
We're very much right now at our seed stage. We launched in 2020. We did 13x of our 2020 numbers in 2021. And so far this year, we have done about 3 to 4x of all of what we did last year, and very much on course to hit 10x before the end of this year. So at the core of it is grow fast. So that point where when you think of mid-size, short-haul, intracity logistics in Africa, no other platform, no other business comes to mind except truck. We want to become the qualifier, the very known optimizer of logistics within that space across the continent. So we want to keep growing as fast as we can. The goal is to have market presence in at least 8 African countries by 2025. And then see where the world, where the market leads us from there. So full throttle on growth. We're currently raising our seed round, bring a couple of external investment in as we journey on. So we get to that point where the business becomes self-sufficient and running itself very early into 2024 by our projections. So it's all growth, as aggressive as we can.
That's amazing. All right. If you had only one piece of advice for other founders, what would that be?
Don't optimize for investment or your next seed round milestone. Seed rounds are not milestones. They are something else entirely except a real reflection of the success of your business. Optimize for business sustainability. Build something that people would love and would love enough to pay for. And that growth then becomes the very reflection, the very measure of your success as a founder. It's very easy to begin to get distracted when you see the headlines, $2 million, $10 million, $20 million raised around. So you kind of get distracted, but focus on building what really matters in a market that matters, for a problem that truly matters. And everyone will be fine. The market will be fine, your company will be fine, and yourself as a founder, you'll be proud. You'll be proud of yourself.
That's great advice. What advice would you also have about making great digital products? Because you guys have obviously been through that process. What was the one thing that you would advise other founders around making products?
Technology is not really the solution. The solution you're selling is not really the technology. It's not really the digital product, not the mobile app. The solution itself that you're selling is a process that you figured out that solves the problem for 1, 10, 100, thousands, millions of people out there. It's super interesting that truQ started for the first year off an Excel sheet. All of the business we did in our first year happened on an Excel sheet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've come to believe that for some kind of businesses, if you can't get it to work on an Excel sheet, you can't get it to work on a mobile app. So don't get distracted. You talk to early stage or potential founders today, and when you ask them what is the problem or why haven't you started, I don't have money to build an app, and I'm like, is it really the app? Is the solution the app? Is there a better way you can get started and have something for the user to something to validate what you have aside an app? Yeah, so the app is not really your solution. Figure out what your solution is, get that right, and then amplify it with technology. It's easy to mix that up too.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that a lot when I've helped build product for people, and you're like, they make 2 mistakes. So that's good advice. One is they try to make a Swiss Army knife because they don't really know the answer and they're trying to throw everything in there. The other is they go headlong into technology before they have any discussion with customers. So I think that's great advice that you've given, which is, well, go to the customer, solve the problem, and then build the tech that automates that.
Yes.
I like that. What role have partnerships or community been in your success?
Come again?
What role have partnerships or community played in your success?
Partnerships and communities have been super critical. I think one of the exciting things about the tech ecosystem in Nigeria is that you can literally reach out to anyone and have a conversation. You can get help from anyone within the ecosystem, from WhatsApp, from different WhatsApp groups, even from Twitter.
Great.
Just tweet at any one of them and someone comes calling to your aid. So I'm a strong believer on advisory. I'm a first-time founder, and I understand the risk that carries on its own. 9 out of every 10 startups from the first-time founder fails. So what I want to do is leverage on the insight, the experience of those that have gone before, those that have been there, done that, at least for the stage that I'm at. So I don't make mistakes that they made or the mistakes that some others have made that they failed. So the flow of advisory within the ecosystem, within the community has been super helpful. In terms of partnerships, there are lots of things, lots of value-added services that our customers enjoy on truQ that we didn't even think of building. Just want to find someone that have built it, someone that have figured it out, integrate with their solution, partner with them to see how we can embed their own solution into us, from insurance to inspection and maintenance, all of it. Direct integration with other guys building really good stuff that we think our customers will find useful, rather than going all into it. There's a limit to how much we can figure out on our own. So you want to sort of network and partner with those that figured out other things that you need that are critical to your own success. So it's the two sides, both on the business and on myself as a founder. Community have been super helpful, and of course, partnerships.
That's terrific. Well, that's one of obviously the big themes of Form Your Own Pack. We encourage people who are founders to use community and partnerships to try to accelerate their growth. So it's good to hear that's helping with your adventure in startup lands there in Nigeria, which is quite exciting. It sounds like a lot of cool stuff going on. I want to acknowledge you for the work that you're doing and your efforts to try to impact the African continent. I don't know if I know you talked a lot about the importance of solving this problem. Is there anything else in that topic that you want to touch on?
Yes, I think logistics is a major enabler that I have come to passionately believe that if we can figure it out sustainably for businesses on the continent, we could literally be accelerating Africa's development and growth in ways even high it cannot begin to imagine. So we are super intentional about whatever we are building must be able to survive the test of continentality and globality. I would always tell my team that if you are tall in Nigeria, then you will be tall in Kenya, you'll be tall in Egypt, you'll be tall in South Africa. You can't be tall only in Nigeria and be a short man in Kenya. So we want to build something that businesses across the continent can find super useful. Another thing that I'm super intentional about what we are doing at truQ is to, as much as possible, leverage what we are doing to create a table for as many women across the continent as we journey on. Africa has come to have this undesirable reputation to have a very steep gateway for women trying to play in the tech space. Aside starting truQ with a female co-founder who is super phenomenal, by the way, you should check her out. Her name is Felicia Ojo. Yeah, her name is Felicia Ojo.
Great.
Over 50 or 60% of our team are female.
Great.
That's what amazing. That means is that we've been able to intentionally create room for women to come do what they do best, do what they love, and come plug into our own vision of what we want truQ to be in finding their own fulfillment. And it's been super exciting up until this point. Until the wheels fall off, we would maintain that intentionality, creating a table for as many women creating a seat at the table for as many women to be part of what we are building, the phenomenal stuff that we are doing at truQ.
Amazing. That is terrific to hear. And I do notice a trend the last 2 years, just specifically that I think, with a lot of things like Y Combinator and Techstars and these other accelerator programs going remote, there seems to be a big influx of startups from particularly Africa, from different countries. So it's really interesting to see that. And I think, we're always kind of curious, like, what are you going to be able to accomplish? And there's probably a lot more challenges and barriers, but I think it's helpful that the money that you get and the support, I think, goes very, very far compared to maybe 3 years ago. So it's exciting to see what you guys are building.
Yes.
All right. How do people get in touch with you, Williams?
I am Williams Fatayo, everywhere on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. Williams Fatayo is my name. No spaces. I think I will pop up everywhere with that. And I'm always available to have any conversation, either with early stage founders that are where I was about a year or two ago, just trying to figure out their way, or with anyone with deep insight into supply chain and logistics, platform B2B businesses that have a couple of advice that they think can help us on our journey. I'm super open to having a conversation.
Awesome. That is amazing to hear. And we will make sure that we include all of those details in the show notes. The final thing is, when we have interesting founders on or investors on the Form Your Own Pack podcast, we like you to nominate other founders or investors to be a guest on a future episode. So who would you, Williams, like to nominate to be on a future episode of the podcast?
I think you should speak to my co-founder.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective to early stage startups and doing startup as a female in Africa. And I think you should listen to. I dare say that if she's not on this ship with me, truQ would probably have fallen off somewhere, or probably wouldn't have started at all, because it was a personal experience of hers that sort of gave us the eureka moment to start. She'll be a great guest on your show, I promise.
Terrific. And I'm sorry, what was her name again? I missed that.
Folusho Ojo, F-O-L-U-S-O, then O-J-O is a surname.
Folusho. Okay, Folusho, you've been nominated as a featured guest by Williams. So we look forward to speaking to you about your experience in the startup world, and particularly with truQ. Thank you, Williams. I really appreciate your time. We look forward to following your journey.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for having me. It's been great chatting with you.